Hello and welcome, rookie card collectors. Victor, the rookie card specialist here, wishing everybody a happy new year. I have been, one of the goals that I had for this channel in 2023 was to bring on guests. I wanted to start doing collaborations with certain guests that can really help me or help us really understand what a rookie card is and how it's evolved over the years. Now, I know Rob Veris over at um, Burbank Sports Cards has coined the nickname the Card Father, but my first guess, I consider him, if that's the case, I consider him the Card Grandfather. He's a man who really needs no introduction. Dr. James Beckett, welcome to the show.
Welcome and thanks, Victor. And Rob Veris is indeed young enough to be my son. If he were to be my son, I know Rob's dad, so he's got a great dad and he's got a great son too. But and he's in the thick of it, and
he is.
So a very respected dealer, and it sells a lot more than just rookie cards.
That's for sure. I love the content that he's putting out there. Very educational. And I feel that's the kind of stuff we need, especially from such an experienced dealer, store owner. But anyways, a quick disclaimer before I start. Dr. James Beckett is my first guest on this channel. With that being said, I am learning StreamYard. So if I have a little hiccup with the screen transitions, please extend me a little bit of grace. I invited Dr. James Beckett on because I wanted him to explain a little bit his feelings on distribution, in particular with the online exclusives or online membership exclusives that are pretty heavily into the hobby now. And I wanted to help him help me understand, or maybe talk me off the ledge on certain things about it. And I know he has a lot of experience in this area back in the 80s and 90s, as we kind of went through something similar. But Dr. James Beckett, before we get into the distribution, I wanted to talk a little bit about the term purist. I know, I believe you consider yourself a purist. Am I correct in that?
In some things, Victor, I got to be careful. In the broadest sense, it depends on the situation. But I mean, nobody wants to be impure.
Right. But I do, as far as my collecting is concerned, I do consider myself a purist type collector. And so we have to understand what that means. And I know in the dictionary, I looked it up, and the term dictionary basically means a person who advocates the application of the principles or standards in any field, or who insists on purity of language. Now, looking at this definition, I see myself entirely on the second half of this definition, a person who insists on purity of language. And I'm a big advocate for, hey, let's collect everything. Let's collect what we like. I'm totally for that. But also at the same time, I think we should have proper language in identifying that. Dr. Beckett, what do you see in this definition?
Well, Victor, I mean, is a zebra a striped horse?
Yes.
No, it's a zebra.
Okay.
But in the rookie card definition, there's some advantage to, horses are more popular than zebras. And so to call it a striped horse, means more people would buy them or something. So purity in language, I think, is important, and clarity in language, that people know what you mean when you say it. The principles and standards have broadened over my lifetime. In fact, a huge expansion of the definition of a rookie card was in 2005, kind of one of the last things I did before I sold the company. Victor, I think I was the last holdout for what you're calling purity, a simple definition that anybody could understand. And it's just gotten broader and broader in the definition. And of course, that's advantageous to the card companies to sell more of these products if they can say there are rookies in there. And so I'm in favor personally of a narrower definition of what a true rookie card is. But I'm just a retired guy now, so I can tell you historically what it was like. And everybody out there, Victor, is voting with their dollars.
Right.
If they're going to pay extra for one of these unusually distributed, not in pack kinds of box sets in many cases, if they want to say that's a rookie card, and it has the RC label on it in many cases, then they're going to pay extra for the same card, where 30 years ago would not have been regarded as a rookie card.
All right. Right. Now here, Jim, I wanted to share with you, you know, do you sense a form of resistance towards purist collectors?
Well, it depends on if they're purist collectors that are combative and belligerent, that insist that their way is the only way.
Right.
I think this is something that's not fully resolved. I think your following is a good indicator of that. That there's more than one way to look at this. You're trying to look at it, and I prefer to look at it the historical way. But the water has gotten so muddied over the last 18 years now.
Here's a few quotes that I want to share with you that's really taken me back in the last year and a half. Now, I'm not going to name any names because that's not important. What I want us to grasp is the I guess the spirit of how it's said. But there is a top podcaster, one of the very top podcasters out today in the sports card hobby, about a year and a half ago. He said this, and this was witnessed with my own ears. They were going through a mailbag segment of their show, and there was a question, and somebody was like somewhat confrontational on a certain topic. And his response was this: "I'm so sick of these purist collectors. I wish they would just die already."
Wow.
A second one by a very powerful CEO in the hobby has recently said, "I am not a purist 50s and 60s set collectors who's been doing this for 70 years to believe in true rookie cards." And lastly, and then we'll discuss these, a newer podcaster said just a few weeks ago, "Purists have a flawed mentality. Why would you bring that stiffness into the hobby and walk around with a stick up your butt, acting all holier than thou?" Now, Dr. Beckett, what are, I guess, your feelings and your thoughts and sentiments towards these quotes?
Well, it's evidence that online, that it's the Wild West. I mean, you have a First Amendment right to say what you want to say. However, the First Amendment does not cover death threats. So I think that's quite a bit over the line. But I think that if someone, we can hobby the way we want to hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And if something is, if you want to insist that something is not a rookie card according to the pure definition, and therefore you want to get a lower price because it's not a rookie card, it's not even really a parallel. It's an ancillary set that has the same numbering sometimes. And you're going to, like I said, that battle is going to be at the table or online asking questions, and would you take? And, if the dealer can sell his or her card for whatever he wants. And frankly, on eBay, it seems like you can call it anything you want to call it as well.
Yeah.
And so we're losing that battle, and to try to say, hey, everybody has to be pure, it's like putting the genie back in the bottle. So it's, but I think one of the things that is really valuable about what you do, Victor, and it's putting a target on you that people are probably going to attack you because you're very vocal about this, and I think in a very calm and reasoned manner. But they don't want they don't want the past to determine the present. They want to create a new present. That uncertainty can work to their advantage, and yet you're trying to help collectors see that this is the way it used to be, perhaps even this is the way it should be. And so it's buyer beware if you're buying something that somebody calls it a rookie card, and historically it would not have been considered a rookie card. And so you might be way overpaying, because at some point in the future, there may be some consensus that moves back toward the older definition.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've seen that happen a lot.
They're making these belligerent comments. They don't want that to happen.
Right.
They want more rookie cards, not less. So they want more ability to market and hype the stuff, and it mainly affects the last 18 years of cards, since the definition has been. So you see that RC on the card, and that legitimizes it as a rookie card, which in my mind, there's some question there.
Right. Right. Now I know, and what I would want to say here to this situation is, I believe, since the boom that we recently had, I believe a lot of my generation has come back to the hobby. I believe there's been a resurgence of collectors coming back. My thing is, I just recently turned 52 years old. So I am like on the 50-yard line of life. I'm not in my 30s, but I'm not in my 70s either. And my thing is, I know there was standards and principles that everybody adhered. I shouldn't say everybody, but the majority of people adhered to. And you were recording and documenting those changes, not for a month or two. You were doing it for a couple of decades. And it made sense. It was logical. For the majority of people, we agreed in the decisions that were made, and we kind of followed that template all along. But now we're back. Since most of us, I know myself included, I took a 10-year hiatus, but now I'm back, and I come back, and now I'm confused more than ever. I've never sensed so much confusion in all of this, but I do consider myself a purist, in the sense of that old standard and principles. Now, is it time for the purist to evolve? Right? I understand the hobby's evolved. I need to evolve as well. But the language, and that's really my, all it takes is a little bit of understanding and education, in calling it a proper identification. And that's my struggle.
Well, proper according to you and according to historical. I agree on that. But ironically, Victor, the way you framed it, that's exactly the way the Major League Baseball Players Association came to me in late 2004. And they'd been talking about it for a few years before that. And so every time I'd see them, and I think I was the last holdout. And they said, it's really crucial that you accept this definition that means we're going to say what an RC is, and we're going to put it on the card, instead of you guys doing it based on what maybe they thought were archaic rules, but they were time tested. But they said, if we do it this new way of putting an RC on the card instead of in the magazine or some other accepted way, it's going to eliminate or reduce the confusion. And so their argument was one of reducing the confusion.
Right.
Now, I agree it does. Well, it brings in new confusion, though.
Correct.
Okay. And the second point that I don't think people have made here is that according to especially these naysayers, according to your definition that I appreciate, the base cards that got really driven up 2 years ago, and were wildly being graded, base cards of not just prospects, but young stars, their base rookie cards were just huge volume on grading, all the grading services, especially PSA. It's probably what caused the backlog. Okay. But that was because there was an appreciation that the base rookie card really had value. Now, because it's not considered the rookie card, it's just the easy rookie card, it's fallen in disrepute. That there's all these junk slabs out there now. when in the purest sense, that base card is really the true rookie. But where's everybody going? They're going for the parallels to the base card, which also have RC on them. And that's where the big bucks and the attention is.
Right.
So it might even be negative for the overall hobby, because I don't think it's good for rookie cards, base rookie cards, to be going for less than the cost of grading.
Right.
But that's what's happening.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Because they're not the rookie card. They're an easy rookie card. In fact, they're the comments you were making could also be against anybody that's collecting base cards. What are you doing that for? No one cares about base cards. If you're not, if it's not RPAs and game use signed, and back in the early days, those were quasi kind of not RCs,
right?
Because they were not readily available in the distribution flow of. They were like a short print, a super short print.
Right. Exactly. Now, and that's kind of, I want to transition now to distribution, and because that's really evolved and changed as well especially over the last 3 years. But I know, there's always been this, and it makes so much sense to me, but there should be the overarching principle. I guess the unwritten rule was that everybody should have a chance at owning said card. And that's how come we had the pack pooled, nationally distributed. And my findings have been, Jim, that those two carry a lot of weight even today. But that's changing also. Now we do have the internet. We do have, cell phones. Everybody has a cell phone now. Everybody has access to internet. There's no excuse for not being able to, but now we have online exclusives happening. Now, what do you recall about this principle and online distribution stuff back in the 90s?
Well, first of all, there was never a problem in the vintage world. I mean, maybe there was some confusion when guys had cards in the 20s or the 1910s, and when those things came out, because they weren't always dated. But the 40s, 50s, and 60s, it's pretty obvious they were pack pulled, nationally distributed, and so they would be clearly rookie cards. Not a lot of ambiguity there. So the vintage definition is not changed, I don't think. But now, like I said, since the 90s, and especially in the 2000s, it's gotten kind of messed up, because distribution has gotten extremely creative. One thing that I don't know that has been brought up, Victor, is that in the earliest days of the magazine, there was already problems brewing, as you can see from the very first magazines that of the monthly magazines that we had. I had RC ? In the first 5 or 6 issues.
Okay.
And so for Darryl Strawberry, his 84 Donruss was probably his best rookie card for 84, but then he had an 83 Topps extended.
Right.
And so both of them were listed for the first 5 or 6 issues of Beckett Baseball Card Monthly as RC ? And that was intentionally on me, because I was the one that typed it up, and was to be provocative. And that was something that could not last. It could not stand. That was a temporary, I don't say it was inflammatory, but it was intended to provoke discussion. That they can't, he's got an 83 card, but he's got an 84 card. The 83 card came in a box. And yet there were a lot of people selling them as rookie cards. Well, that was clarified in probably mid 2005, with the appearance of XRCs and clarification of FTC, the first Topps card, and all these things that were trying to reduce the confusion. And there were still people that wanted to insist that 83 Topps extended Darryl Strawberry was the card to get, and was indeed a full rookie card.
Mm.
I do not agree. I mean, I put an XRC on there on purpose. I think it's an extended rookie card. It's a type of rookie card that is not universally accepted. It predates it's like a pre-rookie card.
Right.
And
Right.
so, and that's what I said, and that's the way it was for 21 years, like you said, a couple decades.
Right. Right.
And so the XRCs, and it applied in other sports as well. Again, no problem in the vintage, in any of those with vintage, but the problems when the card companies were getting very creative in their distribution.
Yeah. And I wanted to share with you a slide here as we get into this creativity of the industry. Here, I'm showing, and Jim, I like to explain sometimes things that are probably, common knowledge to you and I, but I'm assuming that maybe some of the viewers don't know. And I wanted to share a little bit of the background on some of these. These are all Topps online exclusive cards. Now, the 582 Montgomery was sold for a limited time, but you had to enroll in their 582 membership, and that was $199 fee. That $199 fee gives you an opportunity now to purchase certain sets if you act fast, right? And so the Topps Advent, this was oddly enough a 20 card set, released one card for each day of the week for 4 weeks, excluding weekends, of course. And you had only 24 hours to purchase this card. So this card of Soto was available on December 15, 2018, and you only had 24 hours to purchase it if you paid the $199 fee. Brooklyn Collection, offered also through the 582 Montgomery Club, available for only 1 week. It was 5 cards per box, available for $1,000 per box price tag. And of course, Throwback Thursday, also available for 1 week with a print to order concept. Now, all of these are plastered with the rookie card logo. But I know we had something similar in the 90s with like Stadium Club members only. Now, what was some of the thinking behind those, Jim, back then?
Well, it's the same path you're going down here, but I'm wondering if some of your viewers and listeners are not saying, "Hey, I want to get some of those Juan Soto cards. Those look cool."
Sure.
But the only way you can get them is, well, I mean, you can get them in the secondary market perhaps, but originally you had to pay a membership fee, then get pay for the product. And even though there was, like you said, in some of those, there was some randomness to it, but in most cases, if you want it, you just pay the price. And so what it makes for is that at some point, Victor, the logical extension is that Topps can print to demand direct consumer rookie cards. They don't even have to do a 660 card set. They could just, that's what they're doing. They could just say, "Do you want a Juan Soto rookie card?" I mean, it's too late now, but in my mind, it's too late. But it's any of the current rookie cards, they could just put them in one of these programs, and then they can print to demand. That, again, that's not the spirit of the way rookie cards were intended. You couldn't, there was a randomness to it, and there was an every man has an equal chance to it, instead of only the people you couldn't get lucky.
Right.
And so, again, I agree with you in principle, but I just think the horse has left the barn is that if you look at those cards there, a big part of the marketing and the allure of those ancillary sets, there's a slightly different design. But if it's a player in their rookie year, they don't want to call it a rookie year card. They want to call it a rookie card. And I think it's a rookie year card. But what needs to happen is that if people were more set collectors or were more purists, as you say, they would be going stronger for the more traditionally defined rookie card. But right now, Victor, that's not happening.
Right.
They're still getting premiums for those cards.
Right. But I think it's not happening, Jim, because I think there's no education on it. People are unaware. We have been lulled to sleep per se, and those principles and standards have been rejected or thrown to the side and disregarded. But a question for you: in the '90s, why didn't the Stadium Club members only? Why didn't they have the RC designation to
Well,
it?
it's just as you said,
Yeah.
in the traditional definition, they weren't pack bowled.
Okay.
They were kind of nationally available. They were readily available. So again, it's yeah, not.
Yeah.
But Victor, what you're saying is you're trying to have a marketing campaign to educate people, but the best thing that educates people is losing money. So if they buy those cards, uh, buying buying because they think they are fully legitimate rookie cards, it might be that the popular opinion does change. I mean, you're trying to say, hey, those aren't true rookie cards in your mind. But if they start having a dip in price because of that, if more people say, hey, you know what, I'm not sure that's anybody could have gotten that card. So I don't think I want to pay a premium for those. And then the price falls. Now you've got the attention. Why did it fall? Well, it wasn't really a traditional rookie card in the established sense. The problem, Victor, is the opposite is happening. The price decreases have been in the base rookie cards.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks, no one denies those are legitimate rookie cards. But the big price drops in the last couple of years, or last year especially, have been base rookie cards, not in these parallel and ancillary sets. And that's problematic because it's going the opposite direction of the purist that you're saying. On the other hand, if they stabilize, in fact, the reason people went to them is because that they were widely traded, widely accepted, but there's so many of them out there.
Right. Right. No, and there's definitely, Jim, and my whole goal really is I'm trying to record the evolution of the rookie card and how we've gone from back then to how it is today. Here's the thing, Jim. Shohei Ohtani has 2,857 cards produced of him in 2018, his rookie year. All of them are labeled with the RC logo, and all of them are considered rookie cards within the hobby. But the hobby that I know and have grown to love, I know that not all rookie cards are created equal. There's some that are stronger than others. There's some that are more traditional than others. There's some that are way out there, real scarce. And I don't have a problem with that type of thing. I really don't. I like them. These cards that I showed you of Juan Soto, I love them. I really do. I wouldn't mind having them for my PC, but I'm going to call them rookie year cards. I'm going to identify them properly, and I'm not going to identify them as rookie cards. But I know I'm a dying dinosaur. I know. With that said, Jim, I got one last question, and I know because we got to go. You and I have a episode of Hobby Hotline to go to. But what if you had a chance to talk to a purist collector? What would you tell them about today's hobby?
Well, if they're really a purist collector, Victor, they probably ought to stay with vintage. The consternation of swimming against the current. It's, when you're talking about the 2,800 and some Shohei rookie cards, or at least that say RC on them, let's say.
Right.
People want the tough ones. They want the ones that people are going to ooh and ah about. And that probably is not a base rookie card, unless it's a black label BGS 10 kind of thing. But it's the established rookie that we can all accept, that no one disagrees with, is just considered too mundane. And that's sad, because I think that ought to be bragging rights that, hey, I've got his rookie card, and yet they want to go to the most expensive one, which because it's hardest to get. But it wasn't really hard to get. You didn't have to buy any packs. You just had to have enough money. And again, the democratic aspect of the hobby that I love so much is that the dad and the son can compete. They can each buy a pack if it's $1 or $2 or 10 or 20 even. And the dad's not going to have any advantage. They each buy a pack, and the kid can see what he gets, and he might get something better than his dad or somebody else's dad.
Yeah.
Nowadays, with these other ones, it's not that. It's that the dad can afford, or some wealthy young people. There's some kids that have a lot of money in their pocket these days. They can buy in the secondary market some of these quasi rookies that are, again, there's no chance a kid that's not rich could get it. I mean, unless you're not going to find them in the dollar boxes. You're going to find them under glass. And in fact, it's the other problem that you're fighting against is that breaking, I think, is here to stay. And this is a huge part of the allure of breakers, that you can get a rookie card. It's not just a good card or just a game used or autographed. It's, to be able to hype and look at the sales sheets by Topps and Panini and Upper Deck. Here are the rookie cards that are in there, and it's liberally defined, Victor. I don't deny that, but they regard that, and that was the pitch for me. We'll sell more cards. The hobby will be stronger if there's a broader definition of the rookie card. And what they always said, what they wanted to emphasize, which was short-sighted, is that we're trying to match it up with, because these were mainly the Major League Baseball Players Association people. We want to match it up with rookie status.
Right.
The rookie of the year opportunities and so many at bats and appearances and things like that, and that you show up on a card. And so it all sounded good, except it was all toward liberalizing the definition, which they thought would increase the size of the hobby, and the hobby is bigger now. But as a final point, it's more confusing than it ever has been.
Yeah.
And just look at the card, and if it says RC, well, then it's an RC. Is not knowledgeable. It's you don't really understand. If you don't understand how something was distributed, you don't really understand how to assess value.
Right. And then, but here's my contention also is this, so the liberalization of it all is leaning towards anything that was created in the rookie year is a rookie card, whether it be a subset, insert, base, doesn't matter. It's all rookie. Okay.
No,
I'm okay with that.
Worse than that.
What's that?
Worse than that. There are cards that have RC that came out the next year.
Yeah.
Really? Late issue thing. So it used to be that the rookie card really was the first one that chronologically came out. So if you had a regular issue set, and then you had an extended set that came out later in the year, or you had a rookie card, and some of those ultra sets in all the sports had 2 series. The first series had a rookie card, and then they put the same guy in the second series, and that really shouldn't be a rookie card, except that difference has been lost because it is still in the rookie year, but it's not the first card, his first appearance in that set. And so that's also been glossed over. Yeah.
And I would love to see, I don't know, just a standardization then. If that's the case, then
it gets worse than that, because in these cases, and some of these were the first series and the second series of the same year, the first series card did not have him in the full uniform.
Right.
And then the second series did. And so that was, I mean, I used to get the hate mail too, Victor. And it's like, well, how can you call this a rookie card? And like Mariano Rivera, he didn't even look like a player, much less have a uniform on. He went on to great distinction. But so they were looking for the first card. And then Mark McGuire, 85 at Olympic, it needs to be the first card nationally distributed, in a pack and in a major league uniform. And perhaps appearing on the field in some way as well. So again, it's a lot of things in our world have been more liberalized and moved away from purity.
Right.
And everybody's got an opinion.
Right. And purists should have their opinion as well. You know, what I would tell purists today, and I love yours, just stick to vintage then, if that's the case.
Well,
What a simple answer.
go back, the less problem there is.
But, you know, I consider myself a purist collector, and I have a little bit of vintage. I don't have a lot of vintage. I love the 80s, 90s. I'm kind of in that wheelhouse, but I just think, you know, we have to understand, as a purist, I've had to understand that the hobby has evolved, and there are things that are I can't be mean spirited when communicating with ultra modern collectors, and I think that's why we're getting some of these remarks that we're getting, because some of us are being flat out rude, and we should be a little bit more um, be advocates of teaching rather than advocates of beating people down because they believe a certain way. And that's something that I've really even lightened up on. When I first started making content, I was probably, you know, a little harsh around the edges, but I've really tried to soften that up a little bit, because I know I've been misunderstood, criticized, rejected, only because I stood for what I believe in. But have to understand that the hobby has evolved. Things are changing every day, and I have to be flexible. But at the same time, that flexibility is going to give me a wealth of wisdom in the hobby, because I'm going to understand where it was and where it's at now. And I have this broad breadth scope of hobby that I understand. And I guess my next question to you, Jim, is if you had a chance to talk to ultra modern collectors about purist collectors, what would you say to them?
Well, first of all, let me clarify that it's not just vintage. It's probably anything before 2005.
2005,
Before
yeah.
they put the RC logo on there. And so
Right.
that's if you stay before 2005, you don't really have the same level of problem there with the proliferation of these not just
Right.
parallels, but the anything in that year being an RC.
Right.
And but I will say this: when I'm looking at a dollar box, I can find lots of good rookies, but not since 2005, because then the dealer doesn't put it in the dollar box. If he can see this is if it has the RC on it, they're going to put it in a better box. But the
Mhm.
dollar box is going to have some pretty good rookies, because the dealer doesn't know that it's a rookie card if it's before 2005. And
Right.
so then that's one of the reasons I dig in there, because I think, oh, it's a rookie card. I'll buy it for $1. It's worth a lot more, but they missed it. And so, like I said, the thought of the people that wanted to move this way is that it's going to make it easier, but they really are not making it easier.
Right.
I don't
Right.
think I answered your question. What was your question?
As a purist collector, if you had a chance to speak to the ultra modern collectors, what would you say to them about purist collectors?
Well, I would say don't get mad at them, because they're voluntarily not pursuing cards that you want, thereby not driving up the price further. Okay. If everybody accepted this very broad definition of rookie cards, then it would further inflate those prices of these sets that you put, the Montgomery clubs and things like that. But there's enough people that think like you, and I don't know if it's a silent majority or a silent minority, who are saying, you know what, I'm not going to pay big bucks for that. Well, that holds the price down for some of those.
Yeah.
And so they shouldn't get mad at somebody that's helping them to be able to buy. I mean, otherwise these Montgomery Club things, well, they lowered the price of Montgomery Club this year. Okay. And that's
Right.
that means something. Okay. That has to do with, I'm not giving you the credit for that, but if the premiums are not as high now that Montgomery Club is well established, a lot of track record, they're nice cards. They're good cards. If you're a player collector, you just want to get all the cards of that player.
Right.
And you want to pay the going rate or less than the going rate as much as you can. So I just say lighten up. I mean, if somebody says, hey, you can't, I mean, you don't have to be flexible, Victor. You can collect any way you want to. Now, if the only problem you're going to get into is you tell other people how to hobby.
Right.
And I don't think you are. You're just saying it's just like I was talking to somebody, he's just say, I don't hate modern cards. I just like vintage better. Mike Moynihan, I was on his show. He said, well, what would you say to the people that are modern that think this is no good? I said, well, why don't you talk about? I said, well, I don't hate modern cards. I just like vintage cards better. And people can be the other way around. I like the new shiny stuff better than the old stuff. And so you say each to their own.
Right.
In the older stuff, Victor, there's not the ambiguity of rookie cards, and to me, that was the golden age of the hobby.
Right.
50s, the 60s, the 70s.
Right. So, final question: are all purists mean-spirited, Jim?
No, because I think you're a purist. You're not mean-spirited.
Exactly my point.
When people are hitting on you, it's not good to hit back because it's something that they just have their opinion. You're probably not going to change their mind. Like I said, unless the price starts going down. And Victor, the Montgomery Club, they've lowered the price. And so it might be that Montgomery Club, better rookies sell for less of a premium going forward. And if that happens, then it's going to prove your point that's, it's a disputed rookie card. It's an RC question mark.
Yeah.
In my vernacular from almost 40 years ago.
Yeah. I've been flexible in the aspect of parallel rookie cards. At first, I was opposed to them because that had never been the standard. But now, looking at the way the hobby has evolved, listening to my people who leave me comments, and just looking at things, logically, the parallel rookie card, I believe, is here to stay. And I think, I had to accept that and make the changes on my end to change my verbiage on that aspect of it.
Well, again, in the clarity of language, I got a nice note from Skeppy that I'm dealing with. It'll be in a future podcast, but it was about that people are calling those things, especially Montgomery Club, they're calling those things parallels. They're not parallels in the clear sense of what parallel used to mean. You can't get them in a pack, alongside. They're not a random pull along with in the same pack as the regular card. So they're not a parallel. And to be clear, that it's another separate set. So you couldn't have gotten it in a pack. And so in my mind, there's two kinds of parallels. There's parallels in the pack, and then there's these what they're quote unquote parallels, which I think are not true parallels. Again, clarity of language is important. I think it's important.
Yeah. Yep. With that said, Jim, how about we jump over to Hobby Hotline?
Thanks, Victor. Always appreciate your passion. And I don't know that we'll get it all straightened out ever, but it's a wonderful hobby. And if there was more purity, that'd be fine with me.
Exactly. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Victor.
All righty. Let's see.
Okay.
Bye.